How to have a successful contingency. That is what today's real estate conversation is all about. We did a show not too long ago where we spoke about contingencies from the standpoint of a buyer is house hunting and they look at a home that's listed on the market and the home that's for sale says sale is contingent on successful, a seller finding replacement property and closing on that successfully or something like that. And so we spoke about what that means, how to handle that. But today we are going to really just cover everything you want to know if you are, say you're a buyer and you have a home that you need to sell in order to buy this next house.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens so much, especially right now. You need the proceeds from the home you're selling to buy the next home. Then we have you covered. We are going to give you all the tips, what you want to know, how it's going to work out, and all the details.
That's good, though, because we're in a market where it's a swing market. It's transition. Sellers, you still got equity. Buyers, you still have negotiating power. After today, actually, the feds are having that meeting and seeing where interest rates will be.
Is it today or is it this week?
It's in the next couple days, but whenever this video airs, it'll probably be that day.
Right.
And, I mean, here's the deal. We've been stuck over 7% interest rates. It could go higher. It could stay the same. It could go, a quarter of a point lower. But from history, but also people talking, communicating, letting us know, kind of be aware, the feds are looking to raise these interest rates. Now, how effectively is that going to affect our housing market? It's really unknown because even with 7%, people are still out buying houses. I mean, I have testimony to many clients, just like yourselves may be viewing this video, wanting to buy a house. And in order to do that, simply you need money, and not everybody can afford a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 house with a zero down program or even $10,000 down. Think about your monthly mortgage in these scenarios, because when you have high interest rates, usually you're going to want to put a higher amount down to keep your mortgage at a level you are comfortable in walking in, and using a Dave Ramsey rule, preferably being, 25% of your income is geared towards your mortgage. That's a comfortable way to live, if you ask me.
That's true. And another thing with the interest rates, they're raising the interest rates. Part of the reason is because they're trying to get home prices to drop because they've just been so unaffordable. But the last couple times that they've raised the interest rates, it's been unsuccessful doing that because supply and demand, we are so low on inventory. There's like no homes on the market compared to what a normal, healthy housing market would have. Now, obviously, we're still working with buyers and they're finding houses, and we're listing homes for sellers and they're selling. But these are some of the challenges that are happening in the market right now. And they're definitely things just to be aware of if you're buying or selling, so you know how to best navigate that.
Absolutely. So in order, today's show, it's geared towards contingencies for buyers, correct?
Selling, the contingency, which the word contingency could mean a handful of different things, but we're really going to break down contingency, like the contingency of selling your home before you buy another one. Buying and selling at the same time, I guess that's probably a better way to say that.
Then let's dive in.
Let's do it. Okay. So I feel like there's a lot of kind of hesitation and fear around this with buyers/sellers. I know for me, messages I've received, DMs on Instagram or emails I've received from people who are wanting to sell their home and they're wanting to buy another home, but they're hesitant because they're like, I have no clue what it's going to look like. I'm a little fearful because I don't want to put my home on the market not having anywhere to go. So maybe let's cover that first.
I love
Why
that.
shouldn't they be fearful to put their home on the market even though they don't have anywhere to go yet?
Okay, so one big reason that people don't want to list their home is because simply they don't have a replacement property yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you got to live somewhere.
We touched a little bit on a show of ours on the seller side of contingencies. If you are fearful of not having a place to go quite yet, all we have to do simply in the listing is say, sale is contingent upon seller finding replacement property or suitable replacement property.
Yeah.
Okay, that alleviates every problem you may have 2, 3, 4 months down the road after somebody submits an offer to you and maybe you still haven't found the property. Because simply you can't close escrow until you have found your replacement property.
And also, any buyers that are looking on the MLS now know up front that if they want to make an offer on your home, they have to be willing to work with the timeline.
So a big factor is the timeline. But I touched on this a little earlier. It's like on the buyer side, how are we really purchasing properties right now? And usually you need money down. So we're seeing if you are reselling, it's a transition to upgrade your home if you're already a homeowner. And that's because we've lived in historical times when it comes to home equity. So you bought 5, 10. I mean, dude, if you've had a home for over 15 years, that is such good home equity, sweat equity, especially because I'm assuming that you've done some work in this home while living in it, and you just really haven't made it go through a state of abandonment. Usually we take pride of our homes. Pride of home ownership is a real thing. And it's because we understand we're investing in ourselves and taking the risk not to rent. So maybe in order to move up in life or gain some money over time, I'm going to take care of my current investment property. And so if that's you right now, that's where we're seeing it be really, really beneficial for you, is to take advantage of this market. And what I mean by that is take advantage of the equity you have gained over time for your home in order to purchase, putting a higher amount down. Yes, interest rates are up, but we're able to negotiate whether it's closing costs, buying down that rate from a 7 to maybe even a 5%, which has been happening. Sellers are willing to buy down these rates right now, and it's all dependent on you searching for the right loan program, right lender, but ultimately us seeking us as a good real estate agent to represent you in the transaction, that we're familiar what's actually happening in today's market. We're full-time real estate agents. We're not doing this part-time. And that's what's really been benefiting our clients, really, is understanding the tools to negotiate, but then understanding like the psychology of how people are really feeling. And that's a different side of real estate that I feel like a lot of people don't really even talk about. Is maybe it's a listing agent asking the right questions, or just being involved with the market when I go into sellers' listing appointments and just picking their brains. Maybe I don't get the listing, but ultimately I'm understanding how a seller feels and where and what they're willing to work with when receiving an offer. I just think that's all part of the networking aspect in real estate, and it's only going to be benefiting you guys, our buyers, in these scenarios with high interest rates.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk for a minute about, because this is another hesitation, is, okay, so what will it look like when I'm house hunting, and when should I put my home on the market? What are the different options? We obviously have worked with buyers in so many different situations, buyers/sellers, buyers who are selling their current home at the same time as purchasing their new home. And we've seen it go certain directions where they start their house hunting before their home is even listed. We've seen it happen where they begin their house hunting after their home is listed, but they don't have an offer yet on their home, but they begin their house hunting anyway. It's listed on the market for sale. And we've also seen where they wait to begin their house hunting until their home is listed and has an accepted offer. And now we can also talk a little bit about what is realistically going to get accepted by a seller.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to revert to a simple transaction that Mariah has currently been dealing with, so you can share some actual real experiences in today's market.
Definitely. Okay, well, I have this situation happening right now. These buyers were wanting to purchase a new construction home. And if you're wanting to buy a new construction home that's in a new build community, then they're going to be pretty, firm, I guess, where a regular anyday seller resale home that's on the market is not with a new construction builder might not be, they might be a little bit more willing to work with you. But usually the new construction communities, they have these guidelines and they're just not willing to budge on them. And so the problem with this community was they wanted the home not only listed within a certain amount of time if they were going to accept the offer. They said like less than a week it needs to be on the market, but they had a list price that they wanted the buyers to list their home for.
Let me stop you real quick.
Yes.
So the new construction community,
the
builder,
seller,
basically predicted what the buyer should be listing their home for.
Yes, which their home is on the complete other
Yikes.
end of the country. And we said we will list it within a week, but we won't list it at that price because we feel as though we could get quite a bit more for it. This was quite a bit less than what they thought they could sell it for.
I feel like that's wrong.
But they didn't accept our offer. They said, no, we're not going to work with you unless you're going to list it at this lower price. So that's just an example because there is risk, though. We have to keep in mind when you're working, especially with a home that's currently being built, there is risk for them to tying up the home, getting it under contract, and then your home doesn't sell and things fall
From
through.
my side of things, though, that's every real estate transaction involving a contingency, meaning a buyer has to sell in order to purchase, whether it's new construction, a used home, or a zero lot line home. These are risk factors that you are willing to partake in when accepting an offer. And just because there's a $7,000 price difference in a market you are completely unfamiliar with and you don't agree with, you don't understand the contract as in like, hey, we're going to accept you or not. Right. That to me is baffling. Now, if that buyer was to lower their sales price on their listing across the country, then the builder would have worked with that. They were willing to accept a contingency offer no matter what. That's kind of weird to me, how a $7,000 price difference really got in the way.
And, I've seen situations, though, where the sellers have said, we will accept your offer, buyer, we'll accept your offer with this contingency on your home selling. But if your home doesn't get an offer within, X amount of time, then you need to do a price reduction. Because, like I said, it all comes down to we have to consider there are multiple people involved. There's risk involved for multiple parties. And the seller's home, it's a really bad situation if you're a seller and your home gets tied up. Because what happens is your home's been on the market. Say your home's on the market for, a week or two, and then you get an offer, you get it accepted, you get it under contract, and then you go under contract. It's on the market for another month under contract, and then the buyers back out. They don't end up buying it. Well, now your home has been on the market for we're going on 2 months now, and buyers are going to assume there's something wrong with it, try to send you lowball offers because they know your motivation. If it's been on the market that long, you probably are more motivated. So it really, really isn't in your best interest as a seller to have your home tied up. So I do understand that.
Oh, yeah. That's the risk side. If you're willing to accept a contingency or not. And if you are willing to accept a contingency, sellers, this is a little pro tip, give a deadline. Make sure in order to accept that offer, they have to have an accepted offer within X amount of days. So you're not being tied up for 2 months. Now, of course, you remain bumpable. If you ever see that word bumpable by a listing, that means another offer could come in, even though there's an accepted contingency offer. The only deal is if you are willing to go with the secondary offer, that contingency that's in first position usually has 1 to 2 days to remove that contingency, meaning get an accepted offer on their home.
Right. And another thing to take into consideration is when you're thinking about how should I deal with this contingency, should I sell my home first? Should I do it at the same time? How do I know what to do, when to list it? All of the details is really consider the market that you're in. I did a video a few years back now, and I said something in the video. It was a Q&A. I was answering frequently asked homebuyer questions. And one of the questions was asking about contingencies. And I basically said, contingencies will get laughed at right now. They're not even going to be considered. I have not seen one in a very long time. Like literally nobody is accepting offers with contingencies. And even like now, looking back, that sounds so crazy to me because we are seeing them again.
Yeah.
But the market that you're in, if it's a crazy, crazy hot seller's market, interest rates are record low, you're going to have a difficult time getting a contingency offer accepted.
Which we will see that if interest rates do lower, like predicted in 2024.
Yes. And one of the things, though, what was I? Oh, gosh, I forgot what I was going to say. I had a train of thought I was going with this. Oh.
You were talking about a contingency.
Interest rate contingencies. Okay, yes. I was saying back when interest rates were record low, we weren't seeing a lot of contingency offers getting accepted. One thing that the majority of our buyers did, because a lot of our buyers still had homes to sell. Like a lot of them were still home sellers who had homes to sell in another state and they were moving to Oregon. They had to sell their home to buy the next one. So one thing we saw a lot of them doing during that time is selling their home, and then they reach out to us after, and then they begin their house hunting, and they unfortunately just had to get a short-term rental, Airbnb situation, whatever it was, which again, we're not seeing that a lot right now, but when it's a crazy, crazy hot seller's market, you got to be more flexible.
Yeah.
Right now, that's a beautiful thing. That's one reason why right now is a good time to buy a house, because there's room to work. We are seeing contingent offers accepted.
Absolutely.
In a lot of circumstances.
And if you're worried about, you're just not willing to submit an offer with a contingency, meaning you're the buyer wanting to purchase a home now and you have a home to sell, put your home on market. Do the seller tactic of saying, hey, it's contingent upon finding replacement suitable property, and get your home under contract. You now have a set closing date. Now really get serious about submitting an offer and align those closing dates together. So basically you have removed your contingency offer you'll be submitting to a seller.
Yeah. And I always say, as far as when you should be making offers go, you can make an offer at any point in the process that you would like. We are happy to work with you and help you with that. However, if you are making an offer and your home is not listed, but you have a home to sell, the odds are a lot lower that your offer is going to get accepted. However, if your home is on the market and already under contract, especially has an accepted offer, then you've got a pretty good chance. It definitely changes things in the seller's eyes. So how will this process, do you have any points of how the process will differ from contingency as a buyer versus buying a house without
So your
one?
escrow period is a big thing. Your escrow is when do you turn in earnest money? When does the inspection period start? When is the appraisal going to happen? And usually that time starts ticking once you have an accepted offer on your contingency home. So you're a buyer, you submitted an offer, but in order to purchase, you have to sell your home. Usually there's a task list of timelines you have to do. For instance, a 12-day inspection period, right? That time will not start until you have submitted formal in writing to the seller. You have an accepted offer on your current home. And then stuff can start working in the real estate transaction to lean towards the escrow table. And usually I do that as a protector for my clients, my buyers, and just timeline wise, it makes absolute sense. We don't want to be performing an inspection on a home. It's uncertain whether you're buying or not, because we're relying on somebody to buy your home, so it just makes sense to deal with your current property, get it accepted, and then that escrow period starts. One thing I do want to always include is, what is your earnest money and what does that contribute towards? Your earnest money does contribute towards your down payment. A lot of people don't understand that. What is earnest money? It's just showing you're putting a down deposit on a home, saying, hey, I'm willing and serious. Now, if you're in Oregon, this earnest money is really easy to get back. You can usually get it back all the way up to the day before closing due to just lack of finances or financing default. You can get it back anytime during the inspection period. Say the appraisal doesn't come in where it needs to be, you can always get your earnest money back then. So usually there's always a way out. So don't really worry about, hey, I'm putting this deposit down, I might never get it back. For the majority, okay, they do get their earnest money back if you do live here in Oregon. And that is part of us to put into contract a favorable writing, favorable verbiage for you guys, always to represent you the best way possible.
Okay, so lastly, how could you prepare for this to go as smoothly as possible ahead of time?
Well, first be upfront with your realtor. Yeah. I have talked to clients and they, we were house hunting. We were wanting to submit offers, and then when it's time to submit an offer, they say, "Ooh, Spence, I have to sell my house in order to purchase this house." So not only did we just waste time, you wasted my efforts, my time, which I prioritize. I hopefully you guys do too. But the relationship up front of your finances is really important in any real estate transaction. I know a lot of people want to hold their money, hold it tight, just them to be secluded and not really let the world know about it. But the two people you need to let known about your finances are your lender and your real estate professional. More on times it's going to be with your lender than us. But generally, when creating an offer, we need to know kind of the basic details. How much money down are you using? What loan program are you going to have? What's your earnest money going to be? And usually with those 3 questions answered, and then ultimately, yes, do you have a property to sell in order to purchase? But with those 3 to 4 questions answered, we're good to go to write and submit an offer, just as long as you're already qualified working with an approved lender.
I would say if you are somebody who is going to be selling your home in order to purchase a new home, say you want, for some reason, you really just want to start looking at some houses, even if it's just online before your house is listed, because you know you're going to be buying soon, you're ready to go, you just need your home to sell. I would say if your home is not listed yet, if you're not willing to do that at this point, I would say to get everything ready as you can, at least. So don't have a whole checklist of things that you need to do to your home before you list it, not done yet. Do all of those things. Yeah. Talk to a realtor, get a CMA done, an updated market analysis, so you know the cost that, realistically you should be listing your home for. Basically, do whatever you can to prepare as much as you can. So that way, say you're just looking online for fun, but you're ready to buy, and you do come across a home that you think is the one and you don't want to miss out on it. Your home's ready. You can call your realtor. He can be out there tomorrow and get your home on the market, and you won't miss out on this home.
Absolutely. Yeah, because generally the way we're routed as humans is you see something you like and let's go get it. It's very appetizing when I'm at a home. I love it. Now it's like, how do I get it, right? So if that's you, usually when we're in the showing process, it's like gonna all happen really quickly. And It's a bummer when a buyer comes in front of you because they had all their ducks in order and you just missed out on the home that you really thought was yours, your forever home. We just want to make sure we're prepared and giving you guys the best advice to create success. And we have that experience in the game where we want you guys to succeed. And it's a bummer when some clients don't really, not appreciate it, but really soak it in and do what is asked of them.
Right.
So
and
take these to heart.
This should go without saying, but also if you're going to be looking at houses at all, you obviously need to have that pre-qualification letter as well. Talk to your lender, get that letter, or you'll probably end up missing out on the home as well. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for hanging out with us this week. We come on here every week with new videos, so don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.